Hi, everybody. I'm Gloria Moraga. This is the Political Woman Podcast. It's Monday, early Monday morning, March 10th, 2025. Saturday, MAGA Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives released this. Quote, making further continuing appropriations and other extensions for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2025, and for other purposes. It's a 99-page continuing resolution. So it's basically our federal budget. And look at this page. It's just, I think, the second page. It says, quote, full year Continuing Appropriations Act 2025. Yep. MAGA Mike Johnson, the worst speaker in the history of mankind. Yes, not just in the history of the United States, in the history of mankind, all of mankind, since the beginning. When the cavemen were in the caves and they were trying to figure out how much food they needed to get through the winter. They even planned ahead better than Mike Johnson. He has proposed yet another temporary spending bill, which is called the CR, or the Continuing Resolution. This is for the budget that should have been figured out and worked on last summer. And they hardly met last summer. They were too busy campaigning and lying and, running around lying to voters that they were going to fix the budget, fix our country, bring down food prices. Remember all those promises? They were doing that rather than doing the budget. Congress has one main job. The budget. To work on the budget, to figure out what we're going to pay for, what we're not going to pay for. I mean, we all pay our taxes. God forbid that any of us are late with our taxes. I can't be late. They have my, Elon Musk now has my checking account number of all the files he's been into. Yeah, they just take my money. I don't even get a chance to say, oh, I'm on a continuing resolution. All right. It's a mess. It's just a mess. It's a $1.7 trillion spending bill that will get us from now to the end of this fiscal year, which would be September 30th, because the new fiscal year would start on October 1st. And they all say that this is going to give them, all these months to figure out how to rob Social Security and rob Medicaid. That's what they want to do, and that's what they promised to do, and that's what they're going to do. Unless we all rise up and speak out and threaten to fire them all. Okay, it would increase defense spending by $892.5 billion. And it would cut non-defense spending by about $708 billion. Yes, I'm reading. The new bill would cut funding for programs including substance abuse, because they care so much about substance abuse, right? That's why we're slapping all these tariffs on everybody, because of the fentanyl. Yeah, they're going to cut substance abuse. They're going to cut mental health services by $72 million. They're going to cut child and family services by $40 million. And they're going to cut HRSA wide health services by almost $900 million. And they're going to cut higher education by $200 million. Now, HRSA stands for Health Resources and Services Agency. And that's the agency that provides health care for the uninsured in the country. Every state, yes, red states. So when you voted for these guys, this is on you. They have these services. So that's why that $890 million, almost $900 million, is going to be cut. And that means some rural hospitals and clinics are going to shut down. People are going to go without health care. And it's going to hurt. It's going to really hurt. So here's the plan. Monday, today, the Budget Committee is going to vote on this measure, this continuing resolution, this nightmare. And then the full House is expected to vote on Tuesday. But then it still has to go to the Senate. Now, Democrats say they're not going to vote for it. Some Republicans don't want to vote for it. But Mr. Co-President, who's turned over half of his duties to this billionaire who gave him a lot of money, sent out this post on social media. So he's asking for his Republicans, his MAGAs, they're not really Republicans anymore, they're the Trump family mafia. He's asking all of them to please vote for this. Now, that Republicans in the House don't need Democrats if they get every Republican to vote for this budget. The Democrats have all said they're not going to vote. But you know what? I don't trust the Democrats anymore than I can trust anybody else because they're just all over the place. You know, when this just lovely man, Congressman Green from Texas, got up and told Trump he doesn't have a mandate to cut Medicaid, then they censored him, even though Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and other people have yelled at the president when he's giving his speech. They voted to censor him, and 10 Democrats agreed with the Republicans. What is wrong with the Democratic Party? I like Keith Olbermann, the way he described it. He said, you know, they escorted him out and with his cane, but they discovered something that was hidden that they didn't know that he had. It's no, not a weapon. They discovered he had a spine. Something none of the Democrats have. You know, there are reports that say the Democrats are in disarray. The Democrats can't get over the fact that they lost and why did they lose? And they're listening to consultants. And it's like, okay, whatever. You lost. We're in a bad position. Get a grip. We need to slap, you know, like in the movies, slap them and slap them back in. Get them to get out of their trance and start doing something. Bernie Sanders is doing stuff. He now had another one of his great rallies on Friday. The Democrats need to get their act together, man. This is serious. It's serious. So that's just a budget wrap. Here is more on Trump's tariff fever. The man, Trump, in an interview with Fox, not a news station, and it was an interview with that Maria, not a news woman. They recorded it on Thursday. It aired Sunday. Trump said, quote, hold on, he's considering increasing tariffs against Mexico and Canada. Whoa! And she, not a news person, asked about the, quote, rising worries about a slowdown, an economic slowdown. And Maria, not a newswoman, asked, are you expecting a recession this year? Quote, Trump said, I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition. That's their new word. Temporary, a little transition. Because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. We're going to take a moment. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. End quote. They don't know what they're doing. He does not know what he's doing. It's clear, all right? Because the tariffs are off, the tariffs are on. It's hurting, you know, people who are invested in the stock market, who have their 401ks, their retirement funds in the stock market, because the stock market's all over the place. And someone said, somebody's getting rich off this stock market, up and down, up and down. And that's true. People are selling selling out, and then people are buying, and then they go back up and they make money. It's utterly too expensive to buy food. They're not doing anything about it. Instead, they're making it worse. This is a great article that I'm going to quote from. It's from The Telegraph, which is a publication out of Great Britain. And here's the headline: Trump's economically illiterate bravado could do very serious damage. The article goes on to say, and it's pretty long, and I'm jumping around, so I'm not reading like exactly. I am quoting, but I'm not reading like in order because I skip a whole bunch. But recent estimates from the nonpartisan Peterson Institute for International Economics suggests Trump's tariffs could cost the average U.S. household around $1,200 per year by driving up prices faced by domestic consumers and firms. So we're going to have to pay, already what we're paying now, $1,200 more a year because of these tariffs. Yeah, I wanted to do some stuff this year, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it because, I want to upgrade my kitchen, but I'm not going to be able to, because everything's going to go up. This caught my eye. This is way down in the, toward the bottom of the article. And they talk about China. They talk about jerking around our neighbors to the north, Canada, and our neighbors to the south, Mexico. And here's a quote from the middle. Quote, Trump's tariffs, if introduced as advertised, would indeed amount to more serious escalation of U.S. protectionism since the infamous Smoot-Hawley tariffs that saw the Wall Street crash of 1929 morph into the Great Depression that lasted for most of the 1930s. 10 years. 10 years of pain. And people are already saying it's going to take forever to recover from this. It's going to take 2 decades, one economist said, to recover from what he's doing. And they keep saying, well, we're fixing the economy that Joe Biden broke. No. Joe Biden, jobs were up. We were at an all-time low unemployment. I mean, they're just firing people left and right in the government. And if you don't think that's going to trickle down, because it is. Okay, back to the Smoot-Hawley tariffs. Okay, so this is from the 1930s. There's a little background here in this article. Introduced by 2 Republicans, Senator Reed Smoot and Congressman Willis Hawley, H-O-W-L-E-Y. The raft of tariffs sparked financial panic and then a worldwide trade war, arguably helping to cause the Second World War. Yeah, because Germany, what happened in Germany? That's what started all this. Germany was, really struggling with their economy, and then, fascism started in Italy, and they decided they wanted to kill a whole bunch of people, and then they started doing it, and then Japan got in and bombed Pearl Harbor. So back to the article quote. At that time, U.S. unemployment soared when the protectionist measures were introduced in 1930. Unemployment soared from 8% to 25% by 1933, with a global trade flows plunging 2/3 over the same period. It goes on to say that while Trump thinks he can toy with Canada and Mexico, and probably Western Europe too, and he probably can, according to the article, he most certainly should not be toying with China. And China's already slapped their tariffs on us, so everything from there is going to go up. We still have a lot from China. And then the article ends with this, quote, a trade war between the world's 2 largest economies could rapidly accelerate, spiraling wildly out of control and reaching way beyond economics. So that is from the Telegraph. And while I'm on the subject of tariffs, Canada has a new prime minister, and he talked about the tariffs. He's a prime minister designate. He was had a big event on Sunday. His name is Mark Carney, and he delivered his victory speech. And he is a banker and really unbelievably bright from me listening to his speech. And here's a clip.
There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Yeah, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't. I am proud of the response of Canadians who are making their voices heard and their wallets felt. I am grateful for how our provinces are stepping up to the fight, because when we are united, we are Canada strong. The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada. And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect.
Yeah, he seems like just a great dude. Couple of other things just before I wrap. Conflict of interest. I wanted to post this last week at Saturday, but I got some sort of a flu bug or something, and so I didn't post, but I could do it now. Take a look. This is the control room when the latest Elon Musk rocket was launched. Now, here's the problem, and I said this is under conflict of interest. This rocket that was launched should not have gone up until the investigation into his last rocket that exploded was complete. But he fired all the people that were investigating him. And now he's taken control of putting the computers into the FAA. He took that contract for himself. Conflict of interest, conflict of interest. This has to stop. This really needs to stop. So this latest rocket exploded, caused all kinds of trouble. You could look at, there's the control room, and then there's some video here of the rocket exploding. Bottom line, that rocket should not have gone up. We need to investigate these things. There was another plane crash, and Donald Trump said on his plane coming back from the beach, it has nothing to do with us firing air traffic controllers. And someone said, oh, no, it had nothing to do with it. And it's like, well, I'm sure firing the air traffic controllers didn't help. I'll have more tomorrow on firings and what is going on with our veterans. And that alone cuts to our veterans. They're going to increase the defense budget, but they're going to screw over our veterans. This is BS, man. It's BS. Just briefly, the Secret Service shot a guy outside of the White House. Now, Trump wasn't there. He was at the beach playing golf. Cost just a fortune. But the Secret Service was alerted that this guy was on his way. I don't know how they knew. I don't know how it all came about. But there was an armed confrontation directly outside the Eisenhower Executive Office building in the White House West Wing shortly after midnight over the weekend. And Donald Trump, as I said, was not there. Earlier in the day, local police reported a suicidal individual who may have been traveling to Washington, D.C. from Indiana. And so the Secret Service knew that this guy was on his way. I don't know, maybe the family or something called. But he was suicidal, and the Secret Service shot him. So there is that. I'm Gloria Moraga, political woman. I'll be watching the budget this week. So the House voting, I might go live on TikTok during that vote, see how things are going. And then the Senate's going to have to vote on it because the shutdown, the possible government shutdown, would take place at midnight on Friday unless the House passes this thing and the Senate passes this thing. Now, it faces a bigger hurdle in the Senate because they need 60 votes because it's a budget continuing resolution. So they were trying to do the reconciliation, which would have taken less votes, but we'll see what Trump can do. Now, Elon Musk is spending millions to get rid of lawmakers who don't go along with Trump. So there's that. They're being threatened. So this is almost unbelievable. The tariffs, the budget, not having a budget, my worst speaker in the history of mankind, just mismanaging everything, the stupidity of the people working in the Trump administration. There was a Hegseth thing over the weekend about how they're not going to ever consider climate change. We're training troops. We don't care about woke things. It's like, and someone said, a military expert said, what are they talking about? You know, we have to take into consideration climate issues when we're fighting in other countries. We've got to be prepared for stuff. Yeah. They're just, I don't know. I know that if we had some time, we could just let them, destroy themselves, but we really don't have time. We need help now with high prices. We need help now with them firing people in the Social Security office so they can't get the checks done, firing people to the IRS so they can't do our taxes, firing people at health organizations when we've got a measles outbreak that is spreading in Texas. It's spreading. More people are getting measles. Measles is just awful. You heard the measles germs can stay in the air for 2 hours waiting for someone to come in. That's all they're doing. Waiting for someone to come in so they can attach and kill you. And it's not a good way to die. Get your vaccinations. And now we've got this nincompoop Kennedy stopping all this research and stopping meetings on the flu vaccine for next year. But yet he wants to look into vaccines and autism when there's absolutely no proof along those lines. I hope you have a great week. I'll be back. I'll be posting every day this week. I'm going to start to try to do my live shots on YouTube, and I'll be live on TikTok every day. I'm Gloria Moraga, political woman. Please subscribe. Please follow me on TikTok, YouTube, and everywhere else. I've started posting. I have Substack. Started posting videos on Substack. Look for me there. Gloria Moraga, political woman. Be safe.